Madam Chair, I move that we reconvene in open session and adopt certification of closed session.
Second.
It has been moved and second that we reconvene in open session and adopt certification of closed session. All of those in favor use the usual sign. Aye.
Whereas the
Certification.
Dinwiddie County School Board has convened a closed session on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas paragraph 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law, now therefore be it resolved that the Dinwiddie County School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only such business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the school board. Dr. Elaine J. Pearson, District 1.
I certify.
Dwayne G. Walker, District 2.
I certify.
Barbara T. Pittman, District 3.
I certify.
Mary M. Benjamin, District 4.
I certify.
Jason L. Brown, the 2nd, District 5.
I certify.
Madam Chair, all have certified.
Thank you. I will invite you now to
Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Shall we? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
thank you. You may be seated. Madam Secretary, are there any amendments to the agenda?
Madam Chair, we have no amendments.
I move that we accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
It has been moved and second that we adopt the agenda as presented. All of those in favor use the usual sign. Aye. Hearing no nays, the agenda is adopted. Recognitions.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Local businesses have the power to shape community attitudes about public schools, and the Virginia School Board Association Business Honor Roll is a way for local school divisions to recognize local businesses for their support, especially as the school faces increasing budget uncertainties. The Business Honor Roll helps divisions say thank you to these businesses for their vital contributions. This year, our Business Honor Roll recipients' names were submitted by our secondary education department. The following 3 businesses have been instrumental in providing invaluable support, such as offering internship opportunities, serving as a sponsor for Industry Day, volunteering in schools, serving on the CTE Advisory Committee, or offering in-kind or financial contributions, and more. We are so lucky to have their support here in Dinwiddie County. Our 2025 honorees are Wayne Cook Electric, Inc. Will their representative please come forward?
How are you? All right, congratulations. This is your certificate, and we have a thank you package in the mail for you. Okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
All
Appreciate
right,
that.
and I want to grab a picture after. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Let's
you.
go.
All right, our next recipient is EPT Inc. And unfortunately, they were unable to be here tonight. And our last honoree is Dunlop House Assisted Living and Memory Care. And unfortunately, they could not be here tonight. But Miss Perkinson Ms. Perkinson and I had 2 conversations this week. She was very excited to be honored and to get this recognition. So she knows her package is on the way, and she can't wait to display the honor. Now, our recipients' names will be posted on the VSBA website for a whole year under the VSBA Business Honor Roll page, okay? Along with other districts. Next up, we have the School Bell Award with Miss Leanne Adams. Please come forward.
All Be a surprise.
Mrs. Adams is being recognized today for receiving the School Bell Award. This award recognizes school board administrators that have made significant contributions to their school system, their state association, their national association, or our educational organization. Mrs. Adams will be recognized at the annual VAESP Principals Conference this summer, correct? All right. Congratulations, Ms. Adams. And that's the end of our recognitions.
Well, thank you. Let's give all of our recipients a And congratulations to our VSBA Business Honor Roll recipients and our School Bell Award recipients. I like that, School Bell Award. Next, we closed session report.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the personnel list as it's been presented to us today.
Second.
It has been moved and second that we approve the personnel list as presented. All of those in favor, use the usual sign. Aye. And opposed? It is approved. Consent agenda?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the expenditure reports as presented.
Second.
It has been moved and second that we accept the expenditure reports as presented. All of those in favor, use the usual sign.
Aye.
Hearing no nays, it is accepted. Minutes of May 13th and May 27th meetings.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the minutes of May 13th, 2025 and May 27th, 2025.
Second.
Who second?
Second.
It has been moved and second that we accept the minutes of May 13th and May 27th, 2025. All those in favor, use the usual sign.
Aye.
Aye. It is accepted. Board matters.
Yes, Ms. Benjamin, we're going to start this evening with the approval of the 2025 consolidated grant. Dr. Clay.
Everyone.
Good afternoon.
It is our pleasure to come before you this afternoon, as we do every year around this time, to bring information about our consolidated grant. Let me get my little clicker ready. So this evening, different coordinators will present. We'll talk about the process for the grant. And then Title I will be presented, Title II, Title III, and Title IV. So with the grant development process, we go through a very similar process every year. We begin with a comprehensive needs assessment. That is part of this, I think, when developing any type of plan. The comprehensive needs assessment means we look at a wide variety of data, and it is a multidisciplinary team. So there are members of the academic leadership team, planning and accountability, which they help us with a lot of the data. Part of the needs assessment deals with a survey that goes to families, community, parents and guardians, staff. So we get feedback from a variety of stakeholders through that survey. And then the committee analyzes that data. We review discipline data. We review academic data to include SOL, VALS, and other PALS Plus. We review attendance data. We look at staffing data. Again, it is a wide variety of pieces that go into this to determine how do we need to spend this money, because your data should drive your decision making, right? So the committee found needs or trends in the areas listed there. Professional development, literacy, which we know is an ongoing effort with the Virginia Literacy Act, science, math, instructional resources, attendance. Though we are making gains with chronic absenteeism, there's still work to do there. Technology, digital citizenship, so how our students are using technology, do they understand that, and safety around that. Behavior, and again, supporting English language learners. So again, that kind of goes through that process of what we focused on. And then the coordinators of each grant, after we did that deep data dive, they begin to work on their parts of the application. So again, for Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV. That application has been reviewed several times, most recently last night. We're still making a few little tweaks, but we are almost 100% done. And so the final draft has been prepared again. A few little revisions may need to happen, and that is in preparation to present to you this evening. And of course, at the end of this, we'll need your approval. So next up will be Ms. Valentine, who is our coordinator of the Title I grant.
Good evening, Board Chair, Vice Chair, all other board members, Dr. Weston. Good evening. I will be sharing with you information regarding Title I, Part A, which is referred to as Improving Basic Programs. And the purpose of Title I, Part A, we like to refer to as following the backpack of the student. The purpose is to provide grant funds that helps to ensure that all students have a fair and equal opportunity to succeed academically. The Title I funds are normally utilized for students in schools that are demonstrating the greatest academic need, as well as CEP, community eligibility provision, also known as poverty rate. We utilize these funds to support high quality evidence-based instruction in the areas of literacy, math, and science. Also to implement and evaluate effective instructional programs. Most importantly, recruitment and retention of highly qualified staff aligned with the Virginia Literacy Act, VLA. So we want the best of the best in front of our students, helping to move that academic needle. And then finally, family and community engagement through meaningful literacy-focused activities. And next we get into the actual allowable uses, the planned areas that we plan to use the funds for. So in essence, where's the money going? Exactly how is it being utilized? Dinwiddie County Public Schools proposes to use Title I Part A funding for the following. The addition of Midway Elementary as a Title I school. We spoke about this previously, and I presented, if you remember, recently to the board in reference to this, based on data points that include the community eligibility provision, also known as CEP, and academic data. Also 6 supplemental reading positions to include 3 reading interventionists and 3 reading specialists. These 3 reading specialists are in addition to the 5 locally funded reading specialist positions that we already have. So in essence, this is the above and beyond, the cherry on top, to demonstrate providing additional supports for those students and schools that demonstrate the greatest need. Also a behavioral specialist, a Title I lead literacy interventionist that also supports teachers specifically in the area of modeling, helping to comb through the high quality instructional materials and actually working with them on instructional delivery, how to plan and prepare effective lessons for our students, and also disaggregating the data, utilizing that data to drive their instruction. Also, the family and community engagement specialist position. This is important because, as I mentioned earlier, we have to allot funding towards family and community engagement, but more specifically, parents and families are one of our most important stakeholders. So how can we work in concert with them to support the literacy needs of our students? And we wanted to allocate funds to do that. Also, part-time literacy tutors, EL tutors, English as a second language tutors at the elementary level to support newcomers and PL1s, and then utilizing remaining funds to support the required set aside for family engagement. In addition to that, we know that professional development is an ongoing need as we have new teachers to enter, but also our teachers that are a little bit more seasoned as instructional materials and instructional initiatives continue to change from state level. We want to make sure that we're staying abreast of best practices and evidence-based practices. Also utilizing funds to support our homeless population that is continuing to grow. That is a requirement of Title I. And lastly, to support our curriculum work efforts. Were there any questions regarding Title I? Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm going to start with Title II. All right, so the purpose of Title II Part A grant is to help schools improve the quality of teaching and school leadership. So it provides funding to support professional development for teachers and principals, to improve student achievement by ensuring educators are well-trained, effective, and able to meet state academic standards, to increase the number of effective educators who make a positive impact on student learning, and to ensure all students have access to effective teachers and school leaders. So for the allowable and planned uses, we are proposing to use Title II Part A funds to support our educators in schools through conference attending for our teachers and our administrators, for outside presenters and evidence-based best practices professional development, teacher evaluation program, which we use Talent Ed Perform, which allows our administrators to manage observations and document feedback, tuition and assessment reimbursement support for teachers seeking initial licensure or additional licensure in pre-approved hard-to-staff areas. We also propose to have stipends for teacher mentors, and then financial support to programs offering an alternate route to a licensure, such as our Richmond Teacher Residency Program, and also for recruiting and retention efforts. So are there any questions for Title II?
Are there any questions? No.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to skip Title III for a moment since I'm here and jump to Title IV. The purpose of Title IV grant funds is to help schools raise academic achievement. The grant supports efforts in 3 key areas. It provides all students with access to a well-rounded education, creating safe and healthy learning environments, and enhancing the use of technology to strengthen learning and improve digital literacy. And we propose to use Title IV Part A funds to provide on-site contracted coaching to support science instruction through a contracted company, CTLG, and this is for science at the secondary level. We also want to increase our access to dual enrollment opportunities. Just to kind of give you, this past year we had 112 students who took at least one dual enrollment. This past year it rose to 173, so that was definitely an increase, and the Title IV Part A funds were to help support that. Both of those are under the category of well-rounded education. We also want to use the funds to support the ongoing Responsive Classroom Initiative, which helps with positive classroom and community, promotes student engagement, and social emotional learning. And we actually have a training going on this week at one of our schools. And we also want to provide support and digital citizenship through Neptune Navigate, which helps our secondary students, teaching them digital citizenship. And both of those are under the safe and healthy learning environments. And finally, we use the technology funds to send our innovation specialists to conferences to bring back that information to help train and support teachers. Are there any questions for Title IV?
I don't have any questions for you haven't finished yet? You got more?
I have finished. If you don't have any questions.
No, I mean, I am, happy to see that we have these funds and we're doing things with it. Now, have we added anything this year if we get the funds this year, anything different, or we just gonna
continue to support the initiatives that we have been doing?
Thank you.
Okay, and next is Title III.
Okay, good evening. Our Title III grant is for our English learners and our immigrant children and youth. We don't have any identified immigrant children and youth. We don't receive state funds for that. But for our Title III funds, the purpose of that is to support our students in not only learning the English language, but having high achievement on the state standards of learning assessments. Title III is also for supporting on-time student graduation requirements and for ensuring that our students are taught by Virginia teachers with the appropriate license. Are you doing this or me? So what we propose to use our Title III funds for are for instructional materials, opportunities for professional development, to promote engagement activities for our families with limited English, and also we use a portion of our Title III funds to support a secondary part-time L tutor at the secondary level for our newcomers and our proficiency levels 1s and 2s, just really depending on the data. So that's our Title III grant. Any questions for that?
Is that the amount of money we are allotted, does that depend on the number of students we're serving?
Yes, ma'am. It's not a lot of money. Our grant that we're proposing for next year is based on a little bit over $14,000. And our ESOL, our English learners population, has more than almost tripled in the last 5 years. So we're currently at 165 identified English learners. We did have, I want to say 10 of those exit based on our WIDA access scores this past spring. So it'll just really depend on the students that are coming in. Our standards of quality are changing for next year. So we're attempting to hire an additional ESOL certified teacher so that we can meet the standards of qualities. It used to be 1 teacher per 50 students, which is a lot. Well, now it's going to be based on their proficiency level. So, for example, for a proficiency level 1 student, it'll be 1 teacher per 20 students. And our biggest population right now, I'm really excited about, is our level 3s. We have, based on preliminary data, we have about 60 level 3s moving into next school year. So that's really a population we want to target to help them meet the criteria to exit the program.
I do have a question. I'd imagine that with the students that we're using the Title III funding for, that also Title II funds are probably being used at that school since they're low income.
Actually, it's Title I. Title I supports the English learners greatly.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's how we're able to hire the part-time L tutors at the elementary level.
Okay, gotcha. Learning with everyone else. So that was, I guess, the introduction to my question. How many of the resources that we're using outside of this title are solely in English, and then some that are outside of English, so that we can, try to bridge the gap between, it's only $14,000 that you said.
A little bit more than that.
Yeah, there's more that we could probably do if we were using the funds that we have, since they are serving, in some cases, probably the same populations, being able to provide materials. I don't know if that question's making sense.
I'm trying to follow you.
Yeah, I think so. We have the title funding that goes to some of our low-income demographics, and I can imagine that with many of the families that are receiving services through the title funding that is used for our English learners, that they are also receiving services through the title funding that is provided to low-income families in schools. So how much of the funding for low-income families is being used to provide materials and services strictly in English, opposed to maybe using some of those funds to provide materials and resources outside of English to kind of help bridge that gap, since you said it's only about 14,000.
Okay, I think I got you now.
Well, many of them qualify in more than one area, is basically what I'm hearing him say, so.
That is, so right now, our LEAP program, which is our language instructional education program that we're mandated to have, we are a total English content immersion program. So the Title III funding that we use is to purchase those instructional materials to help support them. For example, we purchased a newcomer program. We purchased some information to help them with the key language uses. So that's directly for our Spanish learners. Now the Title I funding, that's when anything that a Title I student, since we are school-wide Title I, they benefit from all those same resources. I will tell you that we're currently in the beginning stages of exploring the possibility of a bilingual program at Southside, based on that being our school with the largest enrollment of English learners. And we're really looking at the pre-K, K and 1 setting, because typically those English learners are clustered together. The teachers prefer it that way. They want them that way. We're able to push in more direct L services within the classroom. And that's like the perfect opportunity, because our ESOL endorsed teacher at Southside is bilingual. So what a perfect opportunity for those children, all the children, to learn 2 languages within the first 3 years of school. So that's on the horizon. Okay.
And we also sometimes utilize Title I funds to purchase bilingual books.
Yes.
For many of the programs that we do, events that we do. Also, we're in textbook ordering season, if you will, and so HMH is our vetted core resource that is utilized as our reading program. We're currently researching something called Amira that is under the HMH platform that many districts have seen an increase in effectiveness and student outcomes, specifically related to our EL students, because it reads to them in English and in Spanish, and it has micro interventions embedded within the platform itself. We're just currently at the point where we want to analyze what will be the return on investment, and also a delicate balance of making sure that we're not having students on the computer on devices too much, because they're already utilizing Lexia and Zern, but we're in those kind of research phases for that.
Thank you both.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So as part of our grant process, we are also required to provide an opportunity to private schools to participate in our federal grants program and funding. So we send certified letters to all private schools located in Dinwiddie and surrounding areas where our students may attend. And the Learning to Lead Education Center has participated with us in equitable services this past year and will continue with the 25-26 grant. So they receive funding from our Title I, II, and IV programs, and based on the number of students that they serve. So for the grant, for this upcoming grant, their total is $1,751.69 that will be devoted to equitable services for private schools. So as mentioned before, this grant application has been a culmination of work over the past few months with a great team looking at what our students need and how we can make that happen utilizing all of these resources. And there are many criteria, guidelines, regulations, and rules involving these federal grants that must be met. So our completed application is due to the Virginia Department of Education by July the 1st. We are still fine-tuning a few things, but the application is basically complete, and you have that. It is quite lengthy. It has a lot of information. It's 110 pages long. And it does total between all 4 of the title grants, it does total to $1,167,357.25. So we are asking this afternoon for school board approval so that we can submit this in a timely fashion. And we would be glad to take any additional questions that you may have. And of course, you know, if you have any questions after tonight, we'd be glad to answer those as well.
So do we approve them as a group?
Yes, ma'am. It's a consolidated application, so it's all one.
Are there any questions about the consolidated grant? Any questions on that end?
But thank you all for your hard work and construction of it.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the 2025 consolidated grant for Title I, Title II, Title III, and Title IV.
A second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the 2025 consolidated grant for Title I, Title II, Title III, and Title IV. All of those in favor, use the usual sign aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing no non-approval, it is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, Ms. Benjamin and board members, we will hear about the literacy plan, updates to the literacy plan.
It's us
Familiar
again.
faces.
Yes. Good afternoon again. So, Ms. Brooks and I have come before you a couple of times. Once to get approval for the initial literacy plan, and then last year around November, I believe, as we made some revisions. So, the Virginia Department of Education requires every school system to submit a biennial literacy plan by June 30th. So, as you recall, the Virginia Literacy Act, the law about literacy and the science of reading and all those different components we have gone over before, went into effect this school year for our kindergarten through fifth grade students. Now, for the coming school year, that K-5 initiative continues, but now the law brings in grades 6 through 8. So, our committee came back together in May and again in June. I just want to remind you, the committee is composed of representatives from every school, every elementary school, middle school, high school, division leadership, teachers, some administrators, reading team members. When we came together in May, we started with a glow and grow moment, right? Because I think you always have to reflect on the first year of implementation of anything. And, you know, in transparency, we know that many parts of this were very challenging. For teachers, for parents, for students. So we had a wonderful session of kind of what went well. Hey, where can we find some areas for improvement? And there were great conversations on both sides of that. We reviewed updates from VDOE on items that we needed to make sure we included. And then we came back together last week to create the strike-through version that was sent to you or that you could see with revisions. I will say the revisions are not major. When the team really hashed it out, they wanted to make a few little adjustments. They felt like, in general, I do want to give you a glow, that our kindergarten, first, and second grade students with structured literacy and the science of reading and our new core curriculum, revamped core curriculum, we saw a lot of growth in those kindergarten, first, and second grade students. Now, were there pockets where we didn't see that? Yes. But overall, the growth was definitely there, and that was a big glow from the whole team. We have a kindergarten teacher on this team who was just amazed by the growth, spoke very highly of structured literacy. So when you look at the strike-through version, some of the things that you'll see are just some minor changes to wording. And then, of course, it has to be a biennial plan, so the years had to change, meaning everything in here goes through 2027 now. Okay, so most of it is just a continued streamlining of what we're doing. We did have to add the VAL screener, which will be new for 4th through 8th grade students next year. Remember, pre-K through 3rd grade students participated in that new literacy screener this year. Next year, as part of Virginia Code, every 4th through 8th grader will participate in that screener. Oh, sorry, not every. You're right, Ms. Brooks. Thank you, Penny. Penny set me up for success. You'll see in the plan that it says 4th through 8th grade students, and it's based on SOL scores. With fail basic, fail below basic scores are the ones that will participate in the screener beginning and mid-year. Okay? Again, what you'll see when you look at the red lettering are some minor changes that the committee thought were needed. Like one of the things they wanted to do was add some wording that teachers need to infuse basically the 2024 English Standards of Learning into their instruction, which we thought was a great thing to add. We added training that comes through TTAC and VDOE on unlocking big words for 4th through 12th grade teachers. So that was an addition that the team wanted to add. Again, that is VDOE approved training. Anything else, Ms. Brooks, that you would like to add as far as changes?
Well, we just want to make sure that we noted in our plan that the training that was required this past year from VLA, we're not sure what that's going to look like for this coming year. So we made sure we put all that in there, but we made a note for any new teachers that are coming on board. We are pre-K through 5 letters trained division. So we will continue to offer that training to any of those teachers. And we actually had some of our secondary teachers, exceptional ed teachers, and a few others that opted to take that letters training. So that was great. But we just wanted to make sure that we're always keeping in mind that our new teachers, that we're providing them with all the training that they will need.
And new administrators.
Yes.
So our elementary principals and assistant principals also took letters this year, letters for administrators, so they would know what that should look like in the classroom. So our new principal at Midway will take that this coming year. Another thing I do want to point out, the high school had asked for a decoding diagnostic. So we talked about that as a committee. We met with the high school separately, and this would be for outlier students, like not for every student, but when I come across a student that there's something I'm concerned about with reading, they have a screener that is specifically made for high school students that starts them reading on that 9th grade level or whatever level they're on, and kind of backtracks it to see what level they're actually reading on. So that has been added. And then part of the feedback from the committee was just, originally, we had literacy nights once a quarter. And they said, can we scale that back a little bit just to make sure that we're giving quality over quantity for family engagement? And we did that. So it's just at least once per semester. So if there's a school that says, hey, I want to add a third one in there, they can do that. But they have to do one once a semester. And it would be a high quality event that helps parents understand HMH, Virginia Literacy Act, how to help their children at home. And the goal is to engage them in that particular school environment with what's happening with instruction. Any questions about the revisions?
I have an observation, not really a question.
Sure.
And I very much support the fact that this is aiming at phonics and such gains in K1 and 2. I have been concerned, and now will be concerned for 6, 7, and 8, that the VALS assessment for these children, and correct me if I'm wrong, is assuming that these children have had this instruction all the way through. And that is huge disadvantage to that child, because going into the 8th, they didn't get what our current kindergartners wanted to. So here comes the test as if they have had it the whole time. And that's not a Dinwiddie failure, that's a state of Virginia failure. But I just, to me, that it should have been graduated in and gone on up through the grades instead of plunked. It's being stuffed in to the 6, 7, and 8.
And the good news about the screener, because it is a diagnostic screener.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different than our K3 screener.
Okay.
So for those older students, there's 9 different subtests. Of those 9 subtests, 4 of those are optional. So it's really going to be based on where we see that the child is experiencing a weakness.
Difficulty. Okay.
So hopefully those children, once we have this diagnostic screener, will be able to identify and pinpoint where their weakness is. Is it in decoding? Is it in fluency, which many times is based on decoding? Is it in encoding? So then those students will have a student reading plan and will be able to provide that targeted intervention for those students. I do agree with you that it is tough, because right now our K2 students are at an advantage, and we're excited that give us a couple years, because we talk about 3rd grade next year.
Right.
And with curriculum writing, we talk about what can we do for 4th and 5th grade next year, because those children haven't had that explicit systematic phonics instruction. So we're always trying to think how we can bridge those gaps.
And change is hard for students and adults, and I recognize that. But I just feel like the stress for the children who have been frustrated with this, as well as their teachers, has been caused by the way it was implemented from the state.
You're absolutely right. And I think one of the glows for us too is we began literacy walkthroughs at the beginning of the school year. And Dr. Weston and Dr. Clay did listening sessions, and we listened to lots of people and their concerns. Well, we were continuing to do literacy walkthroughs at the end of the school year, and we were really excited because those same teachers spoke very highly of the product now that they had seen the results of it.
Wonderful.
So that's exciting work.
Yes. I agree. That's good.
I agree. And I'll say even one of our upper grade teachers who in the beginning when we met was very frustrated. She's on our committee, and during the committee of Glows and Grows, she was like, okay, HMH, like, I've used it. I've created some things that are aligned that go along with it. I see the benefit of it. So she's in the end spoke very highly, but I think change is hard. And it is a process. So the VALS screener will be a change next year, but PALS Plus did happen for 8 this year. So they did a screener. This will just be a little bit different. A little different.
I appreciate it.
Yes. Any other questions?
Thank you for the
Yes.
work that you put into the
Well,
literacy
it's
plan.
team effort for sure.
Yeah.
And our teachers definitely are on the front line of it. And we just so appreciate their perseverance and stick to it maybe. The productive struggle they got through the year, and I think many saw the glows of this. So if there are no more questions, we do need board approval for the revisions that are being presented this evening.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the literacy plan for the school division.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the DCPS literacy plan. All of those in favor use the usual sign. Aye. Hearing no nays, it is approved. And thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, next we have the 2025-26 textbook adoptions, and I believe Shanaria and Carly are going to come forward with that.
Good evening again.
Good evening.
As you know, we presented to you last month for informational purposes to let you know the avenue we were going to take to pursue textbook adoption. And so now we are here to ask for approval and approving our recommendation. So we will give a brief overview of the process that led us up to this point. We formed both at the elementary level and the secondary level a textbook review committee for reviewing the process K through 8. This committee did take an in-depth look into resources for history and math. As you know, we already have resources slated and in current usage for reading and science. We had virtual and in-person meetings that were held with potential vendors. We provided opportunities for Q&A as well as access to sample resources. Teachers, parents, and staff had the opportunity to provide feedback as a part of the process. These stakeholders were able to view sample materials here at the school board office in person, as well as they were provided virtual links for them to navigate through the samples online. A survey was shared with teachers, parents, and staff and the community to gather feedback on these potential resources. And those were pushed out via Ms. Robinson-Williams that assisted in that, as well as we included them in our newsletters that go to teachers on a reoccurring basis.
So you can see, we reviewed all of the survey data, and I think they were in alignment with kind of what the direction we were thinking. And at this time, we're recommending a 3-year adoption so that as we build the curriculum, that there's some consistency, at least over that 3-year period. But should things change at the state level, then we're not locked into any type of contract. It does save us a little bit of money by going in a 3-year direction as opposed to a year-to-year adoption process. And I think the goal would be to be able to utilize those resources, provide the professional development, and have our curriculum team kind of lead the charge in embedding those into the curriculum with us having new social studies and math standards so that they now have it as they're working on this summer. If we can have this approved so that they have access all summer long to it to make that start of the school year much smoother. And so this is kind of just an overview of what we showed you last time with when the state rolled out standards. Even though they're labeled 2023, they are not tested until spring of this 26 school year. They have finally released all of the instructional guides, and so teachers are utilizing those to start the work. We actually worked on for secondary all of that today. So that's just kind of an overview of where we were last time. And
And to that point, I will add for elementary, the resource that we are recommending is KIDM for math and Five Ponds Press for history and social sciences. We're excited about the history and social sciences because that's also the recommendation for secondary. So that lends itself to some vertical articulation that we're excited about. Also, I wanted to add parents, teachers, staff members that participated in the feedback gave us specific feedback. We were looking for things such as layout, overall user friendliness, whether or not they felt like the resource was engaging for students, especially at the elementary level, and the quality of activities and or questions. And I did highlight some of the feedback from these stakeholders. One included, I really like Five Ponds Press. The reproducibles include the necessary components that classroom teachers need. I think the textbooks are colorful and engaging, and students will enjoy them. For math, in looking at KIDM, it looks more aligned and better correlated to Virginia SOLs. We did have some vendors that had some grandiose presentations that wanted to hook you in, and they did hook us in, but the most important feature that we were looking for was alignment. It has to be aligned so that we can ensure that our written, taught, and tested curriculum and resources are aligned.
I can go one more. Okay. So again, like Ms. Valentine said, Five Ponds Press is where we're looking to go for our middle school. The high school is a little bit unique. We have resources that we have built into the curriculum, and so that's where we're starting there to see, because it's not, with Virginia-specific standards, a lot of times it's a little bit more challenging to find, in history especially, Virginia-aligned resources. And then the math recommendation would be math space. We will continue with our HMH adoption for the next year, as well as STEM scopes for middle school, and the high school will continue to use Discovery Education. So, any questions we can answer?
So, an elementary level, we're buying actual books, and they are classroom sets, or they're issued to the children.
So yes, ma'am, they will have classroom sets. It was important for us to have a bundle, if you will, the digital and the print resources. So the kids will have tangible materials in their hands, but then for teachers, planning purposes and things of that nature, they have the access to the online portion as well.
But at the high school, you have it's on their downloaded to the Chromebooks, but are there also classroom sets?
So with it depends on the subject. So math at this point, we have been using the digital only for the high school successfully. For the middle school, we'd be looking at what is downloadable, printable, and does it make more sense to do that, or have like the consumable workbook. So that is the next part that will be included as far as our evaluation when all of the print materials are being released.
Well, the reason I asked that is I had a parent to say to me recently that I keep sharing on Facebook all the information about too much screen time. And she said to me, but you are forcing the screen time. And so I'm concerned about that.
Yeah.
Because if they're on that Chromebook
And
6
I think-
hours a day here, go home and do their however much, we're part of the problem.
Yeah, and I think, so with the high school, all of the English curriculum has a consumable text that all students go home with. Math typically there are paper materials that they utilize in class. And then a lot of our science and social studies, each student has their own kind of notebook to try to navigate that balance. And so as we're recreating, actually all of those subject areas are working on curriculum. And that was one of the goals, was to create materials that did not require screen.
It needs to be a balance.
Yes, and I think that is going to be a priority for all of our secondary. Of course, the middle school doesn't take it home, so that does require us to make sure that they have materials that are tangible. Yeah.
Thank you.
Just a question for clarification. When you said that the textbook was aligned, that's with the SOL testing? Okay.
Are there any other questions?
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the textbook adoption and the curriculum resources proposal.
Second.
It has been moved and second that we adopt the 2025-2026 textbook adoptions and update to curriculum resources. All of those in favor use the usual sign.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing no nays, it is approved. Thank you again.
Ms. Fleming, we'd like to have you come forward and present the budget supplemental appropriation.
Good afternoon once again.
Good afternoon.
As we near the end of the school year, this is kind of a housekeeping area where our budget and the county's budget need to be the same at the end of the year. And so the county did approve some supplemental appropriations for end-of-year balances from last year. And so also some adjustments that we've made throughout the year. So we need to also adopt those budget supplementals as well, so that we end the year everything balanced and together with the county. So what we're asking is that you approve supplemental appropriations in revenue in the amount of $213,649 for Fund 302, which is our small capital, and Fund 402, which is our debt service, and then expenditures in the area as listed here for all funds in the amount of $2,370,656.
Need approval?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the budget supplemental appropriation for fiscal year 25.
Second.
It has been moved and second that we approve the budget supplemental appropriation. All of those in favor use the usual sign.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing no nays, it is approved.
Okay.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you, Christine. So members of the board, on April 22nd, you approved the fiscal year 26 budget. But since that time, some things have happened, some changes have been made. So I'd like to present to you this evening what those changes are, and make sure that we can get the budget, the fiscal year 26 budget, to match the changes, the adjustments that we need to make. In Fund 205, the school operating fund, originally the adopted budget was for $62 million. We had originally asked the county for $1.5 million, but their local transfer ended up being $500,000. So we have to reduce the $62 million by a little over $1 million. We also, in working with the county, took out the $667,000 that we had requested for the security program. We are going to revisit that with the county in the fall of this year, but we have to reduce it from our budget. We did receive from the state an additional $1.1 million. So our total revenue for Fund 205 for the school operating budget is now $61.4 million, as you can see there on the sheet that I provided. For our expenses, the adopted budget there was $62.5 million. We did, once again, the security reduction, and we did of $667,000, but we are making some adjustments to this budget. And I just want to talk just briefly about what the adjustments are. There are some additional adjustments that we're making to this budget. Two are in academic services. We did some reclassification of a current position. And, in doing that reclassification, pulled funds from one place to another. We added some responsibilities to a position, and we reclassified it to a director position. We also added a social worker because we just have the need for that. Human resources, we're adding an additional position in human resources to assist us with some the demands that are happening in that department. And in transportation, we're adding 4 full-time positions there as well because the demand is also increasing there. We are putting some increases in the budget for the RISE program and looking at the cost associated with our evening class our evening school. We realized that we needed to provide additional costs there, and our contract had actually came back in higher than we originally had budgeted. We're able to make some reductions in contracted services and the additional hours. They've been really looking at all the transportation hours, and they've been able to make some reductions until the additional hours there. So, that's the school operating fund. In the capital projects, we had originally asked the county, and this is Fund 302, we'd originally asked for $3.9 million, but the county did not fund all the capital projects that we had originally asked for. So we need to pull out the $2.3 million in projects that we had asked. They've actually moved some of these projects out to later dates. Not that they're not going to fund them, it's just they're not right now. So you can see that change there of the $2.3 million. And then under those school grants, Fund 303, we do receive additional funding of $159,487 for our preschool funding, the VPI funding, and we also had to put in there the monies that we receive, the expenses that we put forth for the kindergarten camp, and you can see those expenses there. So I'm asking for a budget to be approved based on these new numbers and these adjustments that we're making to the fiscal year 26 budget. And on the back, you can just see the summary of all the funds for the entire budget and what percentage of it is spent in what areas.
Now, Dr. Weston, under your kindergartner camp, is that the activities that we provide to when they come in to make them?
Where's my penny? I'm just
books
looking.
and whatnot?
Penny, all things Penny. Penny, do you want to talk a little bit about kindergarten camp? Sure. This is not about the kids this is what happens during the summer months, not what happens.
Okay, that's what
You're
I
talking
was
about
thinking.
the activities as we go. Yes,
Yes,
so this is the summer month.
Okay.
Yes, this is for our rising kindergartners. So we offer this 4-week opportunity for children with little to no preschool experience.
Yes.
To give them an opportunity to come into a school setting, experience a cafeteria, focus on some social emotional skills, start their work with letters and sounds and math concepts. It's a half-a-day program. It's we have 2 teachers and 2 paraprofessionals, and we can serve up to 40 children. And the Cameron Foundation for the past 2 years has funded this initiative.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Dr. Weston, I have a question. The CIP projects, you referenced the reduction of 2.3 million. Do you have any details about which projects they moved back, or is that for a later date to discuss?
Yeah, I can get those to you. I don't
just
have those,
curious.
and I'm not going to ask Mr. Walters to see if he remembers exactly what projects which projects did we move out? I know one of them had to do, there was some South Side projects that I think they moved to a different date. The ones that they did not, Christy, never mind. When you need a friend, how about that?
It's we had 1.7 million in there for to finish the renovations at Southside.
Yeah, the deferred
which included
maintenance.
The deferred maintenance, which was the restroom facilities, basically upgrading those. And then there was $586,000 in there for parking lot improvements at Midway, which they moved to the next year.
Yes. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Our goal is to have all of the parking lots paved eventually.
Okay. We need a motion, members.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the fiscal year 26 amended budget as presented.
Second.
It has been moved in second that we approve the fiscal year 26 amended budget. All those in favor use the usual sign aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it is approved.
Thank you. Now we'd have Mr. Walters come forward and talk to us about the additional increase in the cost of adult meals.
Good afternoon. I'm presenting this. Miss Elder would normally present this, but she couldn't be here tonight, so I told her I'd do it for her. So please forgive me.
I wasn't expecting to see you in the kitchen.
No, you don't want to see me in the kitchen, I promise. So the Food and Nutrition Services Instruction 782-5 reference 1 specifies that school food authorities, which is schools, must, to the extent possible, ensure the federal reimbursement, children's payments, and other nonprofit service revenues do not subsidize program meals served to adults. So essentially, we can't take the money that the USDA gives us to subsidize student meals and use it on adult meals. So we have to avoid doing that. There's a very detailed formula that they use to make sure that you're charging the correct amount, so you're not subsidizing it with this money that's for student meals. And as you know, we are a part of the CEP, the Community Eligibility Provision Program, each year, and we are, I talked to Ms. Elder, we are in that until 2028 right now, and we are applying for 2028 to 2032. So we've already been approved through 2028, and we're in the process of applying through 2032. So, and I thought that was really good news too, but Ms. Pittman, she told me you were gonna ask, so I wanted to have that information. So there's two prices we need to talk about here today that I'll need you to approve, should you decide to. For lunch, the formula is the free reimbursement rate plus the performance-based reimbursement plus the per meal value of the USDA foods. All that has to be added together, and we have to exceed that with what we charge adults for lunch. That comes up to $4.86. So the proposal will be to charge $5 for adult lunches. For the breakfast, the price has to be greater than the student free reimbursement rate, which is $2.84 at the highest. So the price for breakfast would be $3 for adults. That is not a change. So right now, the current adult price for breakfast is $3, and the current adult price for lunch is $4.75. So we had to go up because we didn't meet the threshold of $4.86 for lunch. So the recommendation coming from the nutrition department is that we charge $3 for breakfast, which is no change because we're good there, and charge $5 for lunch, which would be a 25-cent change in additional cost for adults. And I can answer any questions you have about this, hopefully. If not, I can get you the answers. But the recommendation is for your approval, should you decide to do so.
Well, can an adult just buy a la carte, not the whole lunch?
Yes,
Like a sandwich?
it's snack, $1.50. Yeah. Well, a la carte, yes, they can, but I'm not positive. Those prices don't really, because that's not money that's given for children, so those prices are independently set by our nutrition department. Slice of pizza, things like that, yeah.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Walters?
Well, I know you can't get lunch at Route 1 for $5.
You cannot. And our lunch,
This is a deal.
if you have not eaten in our cafeteria lately,
It's
it is
great
phenomenal.
food.
It's
The food
it's
is
not
amazing.
school lunch that you remember from when you were in
It's not.
school.
It's amazing food.
Okay, we need a motion.
I move that we accept the increase in the adult meal prices as prescribed by our formulas.
Second.
It has been moved and second that we approve the additional increase in cost of adult meals. All of those in favor, use the usual sign.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing no opposed, it is approved.
Thank you.
And then the last of the board matters, if you remember back at the reorganization, we appointed Ms. Bonnie Golson to be our school board clerk. And this is a bittersweet, something that we have to take care of. We need to appoint I understand it's the new Bonnie, is what people are calling her. Beth Rainey to be the new school board clerk. Do we have an effective date, Bonnie? Do we need to make that July 1? So we would make that effective July 1.
So if nobody makes the motion, does Bonnie have to stay?
There you go. No offense, Beth, but yeah.
Nobody second the
That's
motion.
right.
I'm just joking.
Yes.
I reluctantly move that we love Ms. Rainey, but we're sad to see Ms. Bonnie go. So
Yes.
I make a motion that we appoint Ms. Rainey as our new school board.
Second. It has been moved and second that we appoint Ms. Beth Rainey as our new school board clerk. All of those in favor, use the usual sign. Aye. Hearing no opposition. Ms. Rainey, you are new school board clerk.
That's right.
Bonnie, you're free.
Yes.
You're free to go.
Ms. Benjamin, for minutes purposes, it's Elizabeth.
Elizabeth Rainey, yes.
Elizabeth Rainey.
Yes, ma'am.
So the next we did. Is there any new business?
No new business.
No new business? Superintendent matters?
All right, 6.01, 2025-26 fifth grade local history curriculum update. This is very exciting.
Good evening.
I am Miss Valentine, but as you can see, I have some friends along with me today. So I have Miss Tammy Lucy, who is a fourth grade teacher at Dinwiddie Elementary School. I also have Mr. Aaron Stoyak and Mr. Zachary Pitter, both from Pamplin Park, one of our community partners. So it seems like yesterday, but it wasn't yesterday. I came before you to share a proposal for a new fifth grade curriculum, if you will, for local Dinwiddie history for the upcoming year. So just to give a little background information and catch us up to where we are right now, the purpose for all of this came about because the Virginia Board of Education approved changes to the history and social science standards of learning for K through 12. Additionally, while awaiting approved resources such as the high quality instructional materials needed for textbook adoption, like we just spoke about, and instructional guides, which we recently just received, DCPS had to adjust our history and social science scope and sequence and curriculum overall. So to recap, in order to prepare for the changing standards, Virginia Studies was taught and tested in both fourth and fifth grade for this academic year, 24-25. The following year, which will be 25-26, Virginia Studies will only be taught and tested in fourth grade. Therefore, we established a new curriculum would be implemented for fifth grade during the 25-26 year, which would focus on local Dinwiddie history. And these three are going to jump in at any moment just to share their perspective. So why are we doing this? Just again to catch us up to speed, because most of our surrounding districts do it. For fifth grade specifically, Powhatan and Henrico, just to name a few. Our students need to be aware of the history that is in their backyards. And we feel like this will help students understand where they come from and foster a sense of pride in their community. We feel that Dinwiddie has a rich history that spans across multiple decades, that should be, in historical events. Dinwiddie played a major role in history overall. And so we're going to get into the unit information, and that's where these folks come in. We had a multitude of people come to the table to include teachers. We wanted their voice to be involved in this heavily, classroom teachers, but also our community partners. Our students do visit Pamplin Park for different field trip opportunities, as well as historians and local community members, such as our board chair, who's also a part of that curriculum team. So Ms. Lucy, if you wanted to share what the units will entail, and I apologize, my presentation might not have, did it translate to you all? It might have gone to her. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Valentine. Good evening, board. So we wanted to make sure that when we started working on what we were going to include in Dinwiddie history, there are so many things that Dinwiddie has been a part of since its inception from the very beginning. So we tried to break it down into four specific units that we were going to cover. The first unit will be the start of Dinwiddie. So we're going back to the indigenous people who lived here, for a long time before any type of European or African American person lived in Dinwiddie, through the colonial times and the Revolutionary War. Unit 2 will go through the Reconstruction era, of course, the Civil War, and then leading into the Reconstruction era, civil rights and Jim Crow. For Unit 3, we decided to do an entire unit on the history of education in Dinwiddie, everything that, goes along with the civil rights, of course, in Dinwiddie, but even back to your one-room schoolhouses that were so prevalent in Dinwiddie, from the beginning. We just felt like that was really important for our students to know and recognize of how far education has come in Dinwiddie since its inception. Unit 4 is going to be the 20th century through the 21st century, focusing on transportation and advancements, and how much Dinwiddie has grown throughout its through the last 2 centuries. But we wanted to make sure that we included geography and industry. At first, we were thinking that needed to be its separate unit. But through our discussions with our wonderful Pamplin Park friends, we realized that geography and industry really is interwoven in all of these units. And Dinwiddie would not be what it is today without its geography. And it's what has happened in Dinwiddie is because of where it is. And with the fall line and with the creation of Petersburg and the harbors and how many waterways did you say, Aaron? 197 waterways in Dinwiddie County. I've learned a lot working with these two gentlemen for sure. But all of that is going to be interwoven throughout the units because it really is a piece of all of that going back to the indigenous people, the Revolutionary War, all of the things that came with that. So we want to make sure we get a really good, grasp of that throughout the units. This really has been a really big collaborative effort. That's one thing that I've been so impressed with this committee is we have so many different faces at the table that represent so many different parts of Dinwiddie County. So we've had a combination of community members, community partners, Dinwiddie County elementary teachers, retired teachers that have come together to help develop this curriculum and make sure that all perspectives are well represented throughout what we're teaching. The units that have been developed so far, we shared with our 5th grade teachers and we did receive some feedback. One of the main concerns with the feedback from some of our 5th grade teachers were, well, I'm not from Dinwiddie County. How am I going to understand this material to be able to teach it? But we're just like we would prepare any of our teachers to teach any of the curriculum, because we have teachers that aren't from Virginia, but they teach Virginia history. We have teachers that aren't from the United States, perhaps, that might teach United States history. So we will make sure that our teachers are prepared to teach the Dinwiddie history just as we would any grade level or curriculum that we would do. One of the feedback things that we did get was that they need some type of narrative. They want the background information. So our wonderful partners here at Pamplin Park are going to help us add, and we'll see our unit in just a minute, a narrative section that kind of gives just kind of a background story of what's in this unit. Why is it important? What are the main aspects that you want to make sure that our students understand by learning and the activities they're going to do in that unit? Here we go.
So we have an overall timeline. This work has continued throughout this current school year and will continue throughout the summer. So we have dates on the calendar where teachers will be coming in, specifically those teachers and community members that are on our curriculum team throughout the summer to add to this. We will have vetting sessions because that's another piece of this process is we want to make sure that what we're sharing is not opinionated, but actually based in fact and vetted primary resources.
And that's another place where these women have been a very big help with that as well.
And another big piece, similar to what we talked about with the textbook adoption, the professional development piece is going to be huge. So, for example, Miss Lucy will be leading IDCPS sessions. I will be leading IDCPS sessions specific to this 5th grade curriculum. Something else that we heard from our 5th grade teachers as far as feedback is we wanted a chance before IDCPS to come in and actually unpack this ourselves. Again, we shared what has been developed with them thus far and provided the opportunity for them to give feedback, but they want an opportunity to come together collectively as 5th grade teachers to be able to ask questions, tweeze out any particular, barriers that they would anticipate. And so then to talk that through so that they don't feel like they're getting information overload when they come for IDCPS. We're really also excited about this opportunity because, like Ms. Lucy mentioned, teachers, the feedback we've heard thus far is they want to be able to understand and have the narrative. They know, okay, you're giving me what to teach, but how do I actually teach it when I'm going to be in front of students and sharing this information? It's going to be a mindset shift because this will not be something that you can go online to find a worksheet to then give to students. You won't find that there. So it's really going to take some instructional planning and instructional preparation, some collaborative effort and actual discussion and discourse over the instructional piece. But we're excited about it because it lends itself to us reimagining what instruction looks like. We know at the state level there's an expectation to incorporate the 5 C's, and so this naturally lends itself to that, as well as we want to incorporate more project-based learning, more performance-based assessments, because we know that's what students will be exposed to at the secondary level, but it also sets them up for success to be college, military, trade school ready.
And even in the new standards from the Department of Education, the way they want history and social science taught is more experiences, more that performance-based learning where their children are experiencing different materials and primary sources and really diving deep into it versus just memorizing a bunch of names and facts. They really want them immersed in the history, and this allows us to immerse them in a history that happened right here in our backyard.
Absolutely. With this also, we will have more authentic experiences as far as field trip opportunities that are right here in their backyard, and also like field experts that can come into the classroom and help to lead discussions around this information. Also, with 5 C's and what we mentioned with PBL and PBA, also that brings in soft skills. And that's what we often hear our employers talking about with history and the UBD format. It helps you to solve a problem of the community with a project, and this is what we want them to walk away with this history curriculum. How am I going to be a contributing member of my Dinwiddie community? Why is my community the way it is, and what happened in history to lead up to this point? Most of all, it's about conversation and making sure that students are relying less on technology, because like you see now, my technology is not working for me, and so I apologize that you're not able to actually see the unit. That's my fault, but you will receive a copy of this that actually shows what the unit entails. And so this slide does say, what do the units look like? And so it follows the Understanding by Design, or UBD format. The first unit is the start of Dinwiddie County, as Ms. Lucy stated. So we look at essential understandings, essential questions. Any good lesson starts with just that. What are the questions that we want to answer? What is it that we want students to know by the end of this unit? And then it goes to actually transfer goals. We want our students to move beyond learning material in theory, but actually be able to put it into action and into practice. And as we spoke about, some other opportunities for them to apply that include what we refer to as stage 2 and stage 3, where we have authentic performance tasks. So I'll just read to you briefly what one of those entails. But one includes create a timeline of major events in Dinwiddie history, illustrating key moments from indigenous settlement to the 21st century. Research and present a landmark event or figure from Dinwiddie County's history. Design a map highlighting significant geographic features and how they influence local development. And compare and contrast the history of schools in Dinwiddie with modern education, reflecting on progress and challenges. So that just gives you a bird's eye view of how this will help students to have an understanding of Dinwiddie's history, but then also put it into practice as far as different hands-on activities and projects. So now I didn't know if there was anything that Mr. Pittard or Mr. Stoyak wanted to add about their experience thus far.
They really like working with us.
Well, one thing I will say I learned is also from working with our entire group of people is Petersburg and how much that played a role in who we are as Dinwiddie County. And I didn't know if you wanted to speak to that.
Certainly, I'll mention that Petersburg, you don't have this county without it. You heard Miss Lucy mention the fall line. The city of Petersburg is essentially established there because that's the farthest navigable point on the Appomattox River. So that's going to be a huge, point of trade. And of course, everything going on in that big city is going to influence the county that it's a part of at the time. So we can't tell the story of Dinwiddie County without telling the story of Petersburg. Of course, Dinwiddie County is always going to be at the forefront, but we're going to tie in some of that as well to put things in a little bit of a regional context.
Just on behalf of Pamplin Park, we're excited to be a part of this opportunity and be more engaged with our, not only history in our backyards, but our own school system in our own backyard. And excited to help develop this program and try to build up an esprit de corps in young Dinwiddie residents and adopted Dinwiddie residents. So we're, again, thank you on behalf of the park, and we are excited to continue working closely with this team and offering the best guiding hand that we can. So thank you.
Well said, thank you. And again, I apologize for my technology not working, but I will ensure that you receive a tangible copy of this as well as a digital copy. If the team didn't have anything else, did you all have any questions?
I have one question. I'm fascinated by this. I've been excited about it since we talked about it initially a year ago. Obviously, you don't have a textbook because this is right. Is there? Maybe it's in that presentation. Do you have like a resource list that you could share? Because I would love to go explore some of the resources.
So we're currently developing that with the primary resources. Pamplin, they have offered a lot thus far. And then the other resources, because we don't have a textbook, will be created by this team. So it's some of what I mentioned earlier about like those potential projects and performance-based assessments. Because they're not a traditional type resource or material, we will have to create rubrics by which to grade students on. I think also it's a mindset shift because some of our teachers are accustomed to saying, I have to have X amount of grades by this point in the 9 weeks. And it's more about, less about quantity of grades and more about the quality of it and making sure that we're not subjectively grading it. And instead of the product of the grade, it's more about the process that the student has progressed through about learning these potential pieces along the way.
And I think with this not being an SOL tested, material, we have a lot more creativity and room to expose our children to a lot of different types of resources. Whether that's an online resource or we have experts actually coming into the classroom to do lessons, or like she was talking about, like the little mini field trips. I mean, there's so much history right here that you drive past every single day and the children don't even realize it. And so, put them on a bus and take them to these places around the county, everything from the Rosenwald schools to the battle sites to all the different things that are in this county that they need to realize when they drive past it, they're driving past history.
The reason for my question isn't so much because I'm worried about the grades or the testing. I enjoy history personally, but we're teaching something to our kids now that many of their parents weren't taught. And so I think it'd be great for the parents to be able to access the resources and say, hey, I didn't know that. Let me learn that along with you.
I love that you said that, because the other piece that we are going to embark on is having, I call them testimonials, but more so from people that have experienced pieces of this history, or their family has been in their lineage, so to speak, to have those video moments, so that for parents, like you're saying, and I think it's great to have it if we could forward facing. So as we share out pieces of our curriculum, we're sharing out those pieces as well, so that more people lean into it and understand just how much of significant history lies right here in Dinwiddie County.
Thank you.
No problem. There are no further questions. Thank you all.
Thank you.
And the last thing, under Superintendent's Matters, you have a notebook there with some policy updates. Everything's been redlined for you, and the additional information's in there, and this is the first reading, so we'll come back at a later date and ask for your approval.
Okay, thank you, Dr.
It's
Wilson.
nice to have them. Thank you, whoever put them in. I like having them in that notebook, so thank you so much, Ms. Bonnie, for putting those in a notebook for us. Appreciate that.
All right, next we're going to citizen comments. We have Linda Jones, 15803, is that Gatewood Road? Wait, let me read, where is it? Do I have to read this? Do I have to read this? Do I read this, Bonnie?
Where's the thing she has to read?
At the bottom?
Bottom.
Before you speak, just let me read this. The board ensures that public participation at any specially called meeting of the school board is fair and respectful. Upon recommendation of the board chair, public hearings and forums are typically designed to receive substantial community input and individual comment. Sign-up sheets will be available at each door, which has been done, if you wish to address the board. Time limits will usually be set for each speaker to ensure everyone can address the board. Typically, each speaker will be allocated 5 minutes during public hearings and forums, rather than 3 minutes during the public address portion of the regular meeting. So she would have 3 minutes. She would have 3 minutes.
So I gotta talk fast.
Yes. So make sure you state your name and your address, please. Thank
My
you.
name is Linda Jones. I live at 15803 Gateway Road, Dinwiddie. I just want to say that I have a grandson that's high functioning autistic and ADHD, and he went through Dinwiddie Elementary School and did fine, did great. After he got out of school, at the elementary school, we decided to homeschool. I didn't know which one of us was gonna come out bald first, him or me, because that was not his thing. He cannot sit at a computer. Well, hell, dear Lord must have looked down on us, and he is going to learning to lead, and that was a God sent. He has done so well. Miss Stump and Miss Silvestro have helped him so much, and I know every parent that was of children that were there will say anything that the school board or anything else can help us with would be greatly appreciated, because it is a marvelous thing. It's a small school yet now, but they want more students, but it's like a family. You know, the kids get along. There's no big arguments, there's no fighting, there's no, nothing. They just like one big happy family. And it has been great. And we hope he will graduate from there. We will hope he will graduate from there. So that's all I have to say, how great the school is, and how Miss Stump is, and how Miss Silvestro is, and it's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, we did a time run down.
She's gonna fix it, okay?
We did a time run down. Okay, our next, Teresa Stump, 8188, is this Bowes Road, Fort, Virginia.
Fort, Virginia. Do I need to repeat it again?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
I am Teresa Stump, S-T-U-M-P, as in tree stump. I live at 8188 Bowes Road, Fort, Virginia. God's country, as we like to call it. Thank you. Good afternoon, Dr. Weston and board members.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for giving me a few minutes to come up here and gab. I am Teresa Stump. I'm a retired educator from Dinwiddie County Public Schools. Served for 30 years, and I served one term on the school board. And then I thought I needed a break. And then God said, oh no, you don't. Wake up. Here we go. So we started Learning to Lead Education Center with a mission. And the mission is to provide an educational experience that meets students where they are on their learning journeys. And to do that, we have a lovely advisory board members. They're not all here. And we have Miss Renee Silvestro, who sometimes I wonder, but she decided to join me on this crazy journey. And the reason why I'm speaking to you is not just because I'm bragging on our school, yay, but because we got to work with Dinwiddie County Public Schools this year through the certified grants, and I want to give a special yee-haw to those ladies who worked with me and kept me straight throughout the process. And our guidance counselor, Dr. Ross, could not be here, but she's at the school this week leading a girls empowerment camp. So that's been a blessing as well. As certified teachers, Renee and I use many years of our experience. I think we've got close to 60 together to support student learning and the growth we have seen in our students, both academically and developmentally, has been a true joy. The goal of our school, though, because we're not done, is we want to have a setting where we can work with public schools, private schools, and homeschoolers to provide support where needed, so all that the students, all the kids are successful. Not just ours, not just yours, but all of the kids are successful. And we recognize that success looks different for each student, but at the end of the day, it shouldn't matter where the instruction was provided. An example of a cooperative setting program is in Wichita, Kansas. It's called the Learning Lab. And they have a space where public school students, private school students, and homeschool students go. And they interconnect with each other. And so they call it an organic experience. And this experience encourages educators to be innovative and to bring their ideas to life. And so that's a goal, that's a dream that we have, is one day to be able to work with the public school, because we're not bashing Dinwiddie County Public Schools. I worked for you guys for 30 years. We love our kids, we love our students, and we love the school system as well. And this is just one example of opportunities. Oh, do I have to start?
Your time is up.
Okay, I'll leave you with the quote. I'll leave you with the quote then. Oh, I got to go to a VDOE conference in April, and in the conference they discussed how education doesn't matter where it takes place, and it was so enlightening to see public and private school people working together, again, because the goal is educating students. Here's the quote. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. And that was John Quincy Adams, and that's one of our mottos.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Next.
Next, we have Chris, pronounce your last
Bill
name.
Meyer. Bill Meyer.
Bill Meyer, 5916 Cox Road, Wilsons.
Good evening, board members.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
My name is Chris Billmeyer, 5916 Cox Road, Wilsons, Virginia. I'm speaking up here as an employee of Wayne Cook Electric, not as a parent tonight. I want to thank the board. I want to thank those who nominated us for the award we received tonight. It's much appreciated. To be honest with you, in this situation, I will tell y'all Wayne Cook Electric's the winner on this. We do spend a lot of time with the school system and helping with the trades program. However, since workforce development was put into place, Crater Region, we have hired 9 students out of Dinwiddie County Schools. So that was the first one, I believe, was right after COVID, because we had to do it online. Somewhat unique when you go through the interview process. However, we have been able to hire some extremely bright and talented young men and young women. We are hiring not only field staff, but also office staff that is crucial to the everyday success of the company. If it wasn't for programs like this, Ms. Wolford came to us years ago and asked us, please be a part of this. And I can't thank her and Dinwiddie County Schools enough for the opportunity. Finding good employees is hard enough, but when we can vet them the way we can through the school system and have the opportunity to see them in more than one different way, as in the career day and interview processes, it means a lot. So thank y'all very much for the opportunity. Wayne Cook Electric much appreciates it. It is crucial to the success of our business and other small businesses in this county and the local areas.
Great.
So thank you.
Thank you.
So let's see. special recognition.
So we do have a special recognition, and I wonder if Ms. Benjamin, if you join me at the podium to do the special recognition as representative of the board. And we'd like to have Ms. Golson to join us here. Yes. We're going to try to get through this. And they dressed alike. Is that like, I mean, they're like twins. All right. So I'm going to read the resolution for Bonnie Golson, and then we're going to present this to you. So whereas Bonnie L. Golson has been an employee of Dinwiddie County Public Schools since December of 1983, and whereas Ms. Golson has tendered her letter of retirement to be effective July 1st, 2025, and whereas during those 41 years, Ms. Golson has served in various capacities as a school secretary, a central office secretary for curriculum, a personnel specialist, a deputy clerk, and lastly, an executive assistant to the superintendent and school board clerk. And whereas she played a very supportive role in aiding many school board members and superintendents over the years. Through her unselfish contribution of time and knowledge, while earning and maintaining their respect, as well as that of parents and students and co-workers, with her personification of professionalism, fairness, and impartiality. Now therefore be it resolved that the School Board of Dinwiddie County expresses its sincere appreciation to Ms. Bonnie Lee Golson for her outstanding service and commitment to our school division, and be it further resolved that this resolution is adopted as a token of appreciation, gratitude, and recognition of her as an outstanding employee and a friend, whose expertise and wise counsel will be sorely missed by the board, the superintendent, and the entire school division. Congratulations, Bonnie. Can we stand up there with
Yes,
okay.
Would you like to say something? The mic is yours. No? Okay.
We'd like to get pictures of the
Yes.
entire board. I just didn't want.
That's not a problem. Would you want to
We
wait
can wait
till
till it's
after?
over.
Yes. I do want to say before Bonnie goes back to her seat, Bonnie, could you turn your resolution around? So we worked very hard. Bonnie and I had conversations over a period of time about where she was going to place her resolution in her home. And so when we went to pick out the frame, I said, you know what? She's a part of a team. She loves Dallas Cowboys, and she probably has a lot of Dallas Cowboys stuff at her home. So her resolution, as you notice, is framed in the steel frame along with the blue mat as well. So she has Dallas Cowboys
But
colors.
she is the biggest Navy Nation fan.
That's
too.
true. That's true.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Bonnie.
I would like to say on that subject that I have not been a part of Dinwiddie County Public Schools that didn't have a Bonnie in it. When I was teaching in the 70s, Bonnie was one of my students. I was coaching track, and she was one of my track participants. I got to the point where I was moving into guidance, and she was a secretary at the school. And then she got snapped up by the school board office, as sometimes that will happen, the good ones rise on up. And then, of course, worked with her as both a principal and as a school board member. So it exceeds 50 years.
Yeah.
So next year, a school board, Dinwiddie County School Board, that doesn't have a Bonnie in it will be a first for me.
Yeah.
So thank you for all that you've done, and you've done a little bit of everything. We appreciate you.
Board member comments I can't say anything. I can't say enough about Bonnie. I've known Bonnie for about 10 years, I think, maybe a little more than that. But anyway, I just know Bonnie to be compassionate. She gets to be a friend, and she'll do anything for you. And I'm going to miss her dearly. So, Miss Rainey, look out. She's just a person that you just have to love. And Bonnie, I'm going to miss you, but enjoy your retirement. I would want you to stay, but I enjoy mine, so I can't. I cannot want for myself what I don't wish for somebody else. So enjoy it.
There you go.
Anybody, Wayne?
I'll just say this: what they don't acknowledge up here sometimes is the fact that anybody can sit on this board. Like I am living proof of that. Anymore. All you have to do is get your name on a ballot and trick enough people into checking the box. But then what happens is you get whoever up here, and Bonnie has to keep them in line. And in those first few months on this board, Bonnie was very gracious in how because I broke some rules, and mostly out of ignorance because I didn't know the rules. And she did a wonderful job of letting me know, but not humiliating me. There aren't many people like that in this world that can nudge you in the right direction and correct you without making you feel like less of a person. And so, Bonnie, you've created huge shoes for Miss Rainey to fill. But I'm very grateful for you. Thank you for what you've done for me.
I don't think that my first year on the school board would have been anywhere near as good as it was if there wasn't somebody always making sure that I knew where I was supposed to be, when I was supposed to be there, what I was supposed to have with me, and no, don't do this, don't say this is the way we do this. And Bonnie, I guess taught us all. So thank you, Bonnie.
I was waiting for my turn. I have the sincerest gratitude for all that you've done, Ms. Bonnie. You definitely, I would say, for the three of us that are newer to the board over the last 2 years, have really taught us a lot, really reined us in. I think one thing that really stood out to me since the day that I met you and got to see the quality of your work is how enlightening it is. And what I mean by that is I'd step into one of the offices here at the school board or central office, or I'd walk into a meeting, or we'd go to our VSBA conferences, and I would see things that you put together and prepared for us. And then I think to myself, oh, I would have never thought to have done that. And so there were so many things that you taught me simply through the quality of your work. And I think I would be remiss to spotlight so much of your work while failing to really spotlight the quality of your character, which is where that work comes from. Pastor Walker can probably correct me on this if it's not theologically sound, but I would say that, I'm a believer of both faith and works, and I think that our works come from our faith, and your work and your quality of work definitely comes from your faith and your quality of character. And I think that's what's most inspiring about you, and should be inspiring for the rest of us, to try to go after that same character and, really instill that and develop it in ourselves. So you definitely have left behind a legacy, and, Ms. Rainey, she will leave behind a legacy as well. And there will be many great things that she will do, but you're going to be missed. But you're not leaving also, you'll still be right around the corner. We'll be able to email you, call you, and what have you. Not about school board related stuff. I'll be sure to set that boundary, but I do thank you for everything that you've done for me and the rest of the board since day one.
Okay, is that it? Okay, well, any other comments, school board, anything you want to make today?
I want to make a comment regarding all the committee reports we've had tonight. After 34 years in education, probably serving on every committee that was ever created, I know how much time and effort you took. You did your regular job, and then you did the extra job. And I admire you so much, not only for the time that you put into this, but for the quality of the product that you presented to us. Thank you so much.
Anybody else?
I would like to also mention the business honorees. I thank them for their outstanding service to both our students and to Dinwiddie County. We have so many businesses that are great supporters, but we try to honor several each year with the VSBA, but that's what makes Dinwiddie such a great place to work, especially with the school system. That we have the support of businesses, churches, organizations, and it makes our work easier. And it's great to have local businesses that are seeking out the employment of our students. And we appreciate you.
Any more? Well, you done? Thank you very much for coming this evening. We appreciate you for all you've done and continue to keep us in your good wishes and our schools in your prayers. And Dr. West?
Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn.
Second in opposition, meeting is adjourned.